Yo, what's going on, guys? This is Jonathan. Today I'm bringing you a video talking about why you should sign 4 years in the military, and specifically for me in the Air Force versus signing 6 years. So today I'm going to be talking about my experience in the military, why I signed 4 years, and kind of why I joined the military in general. So you might have a completely different mentality on this entire situation, and your life obviously is different than mine. So take it with a grain of salt. Don't let this be your ultimate deciding factor, but I'm going to tell you how I approached it. When I graduated high school, I moved in with my girlfriend at the time, who is my wife now, and we got married pretty much like a month or two after high school, and I was looking into going to the Art Institute of Colorado, and it just wasn't looking good. It was really expensive. It wasn't necessarily worth the money to maybe come out with an art degree and I might get hired. It wasn't balancing out right. And throughout my entire life, I kind of grew up around the Air Force because I grew up around Buckley Air Force Base in Aurora, Colorado. And senior year, right when senior year started, my girlfriend at the time, again, who is my wife now, it's kind of weird to talk about, but she was looking into joining the reserves, and she went and talked to a recruiter. And so that was kind of stuck in my head. And then once I finally decided, like, yo, I'm not gonna go to this college. It's not worth my time. It's not worth the money. I just didn't feel passionate about it. It just wasn't gonna be the right thing for my life. I just felt it like in my soul. And so I just kind of decided not to do it. And that Air Force thought was still in my head for some reason. And I knew some of the benefits. It just kind of drove me to get on the Air Force website, basically. So I got on the Air Force website, and like the first thing I saw was like, you can be a dental assistant in the military. And that was like the coolest thing to me. I was like, you can join the military, and I don't know why I thought every branch was like the Army and like always in the desert or something like that. I don't know. I guess I wasn't really exposed to the military, and so I didn't know they had IT jobs too, like they have normal jobs, or for whatever reason. And so I just kind of saw these really cool jobs. I was like, I can be a server administrator in the military. That's awesome. And have all the benefits and only do it for 4 years and then get out, and then I can do art. And that's kind of the mentality that I had. And so once I saw that, I got on YouTube, like we do, millennials, right? And I started to look up tons of stuff about like just BMT and PT and stuff, and I came across like the Wild Blue Yonder and Kyle Gott and all these other channels, just getting as much information as I could about the basis of joining the military. And then once I kind of felt comfortable and I was like, yeah, like this is something that I really kind of want to do. Like this is something that I talked to my wife about it, and she's like, yeah, you know, like that might be the best for us. And so I called my recruiter, I talked to my recruiter, and then the rest of it is pretty much documented on my channel. So if you want to know the rest of the story, even though it's kind of obvious I ended up joining the military, you can subscribe and go watch those videos. But basically, I kind of came down to this decision at some point in time where I was like, okay, should I do 4 years or should I do 6 years? What are the benefits between them? What is gonna work out best for my life? I've said this in tons of videos, and I've said this probably for the past 2 years of actually being in the military and getting up until I joined the actual military, about how I'm an artist and how I wanted to go to the Art Institute and web design and graphic design and photography and all sorts of stuff like that, right? Now, right now, I do IT in the Air Force because it's something that I grew up around. I grew up around people who kind of are in IT. I grew up around computers. I built my own computers. I'm very, very familiar with computers, and I knew that would be the right direction to go down. And so the thing kind of is when you're doing IT and stuff, and you're a graphic designer and a photographer or whatever, computers and all sorts of that stuff just tie directly into each other. And I know that this is like kind of random, but that's where I want to go in my life. I want to be an illustrator. I want to be a graphic designer. I want to do web design. I want to do photography. I want to freelance or work with brands and all sorts of stuff like that. And because of that, like I've always wanted to do that my entire life. I've always been an artist. Being in the military for 20 years and getting out when I'm 40 years old, and most of my life is gone, and I'm already kind of an old man. I mean, 40 is not that old, but in the grand scheme of things, it's not young either. It's not viable, whatever the word is, for my life. It's not something that I really want to do. And so that's really why I wouldn't do 20 years in the military and make it a career and retire. Because a lot of people end up getting stuck in the military. They sign 6 years and then they're like, well, I already did 6 years. I only need to do another 4 more years until I'm at 10. And then they do another enlistment. And then they're at 10 years and they're like, well, I might as well do another 10 years because I'm already halfway through. And that's just not the right mentality to have. It's cool to join the military. If your reason for joining the military and doing a career is patriotic and that's something that you really want to do with your life, that is great. But don't get stuck in the military because of the benefits, because you're scared to pay for health insurance on your own or life insurance on your own, or you don't want to pay to have a kid because the military, they only costs like $19 to have a child, or you don't want to have to go pay rent yourself because the military will pay it for you. Those are not good reasons to be in the military. And the benefits are great. Do not get me wrong. The benefits are amazing. But getting stuck in the military because of them isn't good for your life. It's not a healthy situation to be in. You shouldn't, like, majority of the United States, I'm not even going to say like the world because it's not like that for the world, but majority of the United States does all of those things with health insurance and life insurance and rent without being in the military. So you shouldn't really have that fear of getting out of the military and making that transition because you're scared. You know what I mean? Like, you should just do it and understand. And if you really want to do 20 years in the military, like, make it a decision that's based on like, okay, here's a pros and cons list aside from the benefits, and this is how it's going to benefit my life and my country, you know, if that's the type of person that you are and you're super patriotic or whatever the case may be. So for my life and the things that I want to accomplish in my life, this is just like a piece of the puzzle. It's just like a chapter in the book, or however, whatever metaphor you want to look at it as. It's not my end all be all to be in the military, and it 100% wasn't my life plan to join the military. It just ended up working out that way. And it has been awesome being in the military. The benefits have been great. And one of the main deciding factors for me joining the military, and specifically doing 4 years in the military, was because of college. The beginning decision was, I don't know if I'm gonna go to college. I can't pay for $80,000 to get a web design degree, and I might not know if I'm gonna have a job on the other side of that, and it's not gonna be worth my time. But I knew that if I joined the military, I would still have the option to go to school for basically 3 or 4 years for free, and they would pay my rent while I'm out of the military, and I'm still going to college full time. I have all these other benefits and all these other options just from doing 4 years. And now that I'm halfway through my enlistment, and I look at that and I'm like, dang, like that was a good decision on my part. I'm very young. I'm super young. I turned 21 years old in March, and by the time I get out, I'll be like, what, 22 or 23 basically. And then I'll be able to make those decisions. Like, maybe I do want to go to school, or maybe I do want to give everything that I have into being a freelance graphic designer, or whatever the case may be, right? Obviously, these are very specific to my life. Maybe you want to go be an engineer, a software engineer, or whatever the case may be. And another thing you have to look at is, like, with my job, let's say I didn't want to be a graphic designer. Let's say I didn't want to be an illustrator. I could take the knowledge that I know as a server administrator and as my new job, which is going to be coding and kind of like programming and stuff like that. I can take that knowledge and take it to a civilian company, or even get contracted into the military, and I can go make a lot more money than you would make in the military. And so with that being said, if you do IT, or you do a job that is very, very sellable to the civilian sector, the civilian world, you have to really think about it. What are my options between staying in the military, and how does that differ from what I would be doing outside the military? And like, what are the differences? Like, how much money would I be losing by not getting out of the military? And that's really what it comes down to. Now, I know like doing a whole career isn't necessarily the good comparison between 4 years and 6 years, but a lot of people that do 6 years end up staying in, I feel like. And the benefits of doing 6 years and 4 years are really not that different. And here's another thing about doing 4 years, and this is what I'm gonna leave you guys on, is that when you sign 4 years in the military, you can extend 2 more years. You can extend in the military, so you really can do 6 years. And the signing bonus to do 6 years in the military isn't necessarily worth, it's not really worth it. You know, 2 years is a long, long time. Like, it's a long time. Like, I know people right now who are in the military who absolutely do not like it. And that's their opinion, but they don't like being in the military. they wish they wouldn't have done it, and now they're stuck in a 6-year contract. They have 5.5 years left, or 4 years left, because they signed 6 years because they got talked into it. Because at MEPS, your recruiter, and pretty much everybody that I talked to along the way was like, are you sure you don't want to do 6 years? Like, are you sure you really only want to do 4 years? And all sorts of stuff like that. And you really just think about it. Think about your life and think about what's best for you. Maybe 6 years is best for you. Maybe you do want to be in the military that long, but it just really comes down to you. So anyways, thank you again for watching. I thank you again. I haven't even said thank you yet. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you haven't already, leave your ship dates and any questions you may have down below. I hope this video was very natural for you, very easy to understand. It really comes down to you and the type of person you are and really what you want to get out of the military. So definitely check out the other videos on my channel and do the research before you start making crazy decisions that can affect the rest of your life. Anyways, again, thank you so much for watching and peace out.